everyone. You know what this is. Circle Brothers Podcast with RJ. Circle Brothers Podcast. You know what this is. All things entertainment. We talk about comic books, video games, movies, and TV shows, and of course tech stuff. This isn't a private conversation. We want to include you in on it because, like I said, when you're rocking with Circle Brothers, you're rocking with the best. You family here. Check the audio version first on Anchor, and also on Soundcloud, and also on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Circle Brothers Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Circle Brothers Podcast with RJ
and Eric.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? How you feeling? I'm hoping everyone is doing well. We are refreshed. We are back at it. We actually uploaded a few other things as far as the giveaway. So if you haven't seen that, you probably want to check out that video. It's probably in the other list of videos in the description. But anyway, let me just go ahead and start off by saying this. Ladies and gentlemen, you are rocking with Circle Brothers. You're rocking with the best. I just want to let you know that I always have to start off by saying that. You know this. You know this is Circle Brothers Podcast. So, this is RJ. This is Eric. We've already mentioned that before too. If I'm repeating myself, it's perfectly fine. I just want to make sure that you hear it so that way it gets into your systems. So that way when we start rambling on about stuff, you know who it is.
And we're parents, so we like to repeat ourselves.
We like to repeat. Listen, when you have kids, it's, oh my God, is something that's like, because repeating is an annoyance with me, but I tend to do it a lot because other people just don't get it.
Well, that and our kids are knuckleheads.
They just don't get it. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and put that to the side. We'll go ahead and get into the meat and bones of the conversations that we're going to have here today. One of which, the first thing I want to talk about is, well, actually, let me start off by saying this. We all know about the media industry. You, Eric, know about the media industry. I know
Sadly.
about it. I'm very well aware of it as well. I was known as a media kid. When I grew up, we didn't, this is going to sound like an old man rant, be warned. When I was growing up, I did not have such things as internet in my house. We did not have cable in my house. The only source of entertainment outside of my mom screaming in my ear, you need to go outside, literally put us out the house and lock the screen door, is when we actually were allowed to stay inside. We had two things. We have video games and we also have movies. Notice a trend. So, and of course, and we're in our older ages, we actually still are into video games and we're still into movies. Notice a trend. See, I just repeated it. So, one of the things one of my things that's actually going to spill into the rants of the conversation today is what's called media fatigue, or reboot fatigue, actually, which is there are movies that I actually grew up in. As far as watching and watching the sequels, different things like that. And these properties are owned by the companies that hold them. Sony, MGM, Universal, etc. They all own these movies.
Or Disney.
They all own these movies. So as time moves on, and we're actually older now, so now the companies that still hold these properties, they have to do something about these properties, because if they don't actually reuse these properties, they start to lose their rights to said properties and they go out into public domain as unclaimed properties, and other people can pick it up and do their own spin to it. Big companies don't like that because in their mind that's losing money. So what they do is they actually do reboots. And as they do reboots, FYI, video games do the same thing. So with reboots, they start taking properties from old movies in old video games, if we're talking about video games, and they try to reintroduce it in a new and different light, hopefully to try to get more people to actually get on board with the property. Hopefully it blows up, turns popular again, like it did back before in the earlier days. I'm about tired of it. Just being brutally honest. One of the things that actually got me on this rant is I'm doing my scrolls through the internet, as a Circle Brother does, as we do.
Yes, we surf the webs.
We surf the interwebs, and we found one. There is a movie that was very popular back in the day. It's called New Jack City. New Jack City is a very, very urban film that deals with drug dealers and how they've taken over a certain neighborhood and how the neighborhood is under siege because of this drug dealer and his empire, the rise of that empire. And then there's renegade cops that go against the system to try to take down this new type of gangster. And that's pretty much the whole premise of the actual movie. Very popular. Ice-T as one of the actors. Wesley Snipes as the drug dealer is very popular. I think it was actually one of the major films that actually catapulted his career. Mm-hmm. So this movie, and if you don't know what it is, it's called New Jack City. You'll probably want to go ahead and look it up. The trailer's on YouTube. You can do your search and laugh at it because it is funny for what it's worth. But they're trying to reboot this movie. And the first thing that came to mind is why? Why are they rebooting? I don't know why they're rebooting this. I have no clue why they're rebooting this. Outside of we have no creative reins. We don't know what we're doing. It's like it makes more sense to me to just go ahead and start off a new property, start off something new, grab new artists, because there's plenty of people that are out there that have great ideas that you can formulate and try to create something new.
Or I have an alternate kind of take on that for some reboots. Now, there could be a time where someone creates a movie,
right?
Maybe in the 80s or 90s, and the movie, when it was created at that time, if it was from 20 plus years ago, the technology wasn't there for certain scenes.
Okay.
So that, which is a completely different and pretty much antithetical to what you're saying, but that's when I think reboots are okay, or reimagining, because you have a medium now that can tell a certain story. So like, what was the movie? Gemini Man. That movie was in development since the 90s, or since the late 90s.
Really?
Yes, because, and it switched hands from directors, but they didn't have the technology to make it. And so finally they had the technology to make it and to do it justice for what was needed. Right. So in that case, and that's not a reboot, and it kind of goes on a tangent about what I'm saying, but there's a way that they can make a movie like that and do it justice. Or going back and doing prequels to movies, where if a technology didn't exist, kind of like what Star Wars did, where he had the technology to do certain things with CG. Right. And then you can do that. But if you're just going to straight up reboot New Jack City, for like, what are you going to tell different now at that point? Right. Like, there's nothing you're going to add to this story that is relevant to now.
Right. So, and that brings me over to another point too, because what was done with another property that's similar to that was Superfly. And that, yes, I know. Insert eye rolls here. So with that one was an old...
Or Shaft.
Oh, in Shaft. These are old. Now, those two movies were actually older movies. Those were back in the 70s.
Blaxploitation films.
Blaxploitation films. Now, New Jack City happened in the, I believe, was it early 90s? Or
92. 92, I think.
Yeah, okay. So, long story short, with the reboot of Superfly, and like I said, I went and saw the movie. It was fine. It followed similar beats, but it had 91. Mm-hmm. Okay, 91 for New Jack City. Side note. So going back to the main subject, Superfly, the new Superfly. It actually followed the same similar beats to the original film, but it didn't really have much of a story to it, and it's more of kind of like an appeal to urban audiences to try to basically get them into the movie with something that they think they can rock with. Blasting music, of course, girls and cars, and you know, this lavish lifestyle and different other things, and I'm trying to get my life together, blah blah blah, and that's perfectly fine. It's just for me, it's boring because I've seen it before. And with that one, and actually, I don't think it actually did all that well either. I think it did well enough to where they pocketed some cash, but not enough to where you could try to do a spinoff or sequels or anything like that. And I believe it actually did try to leave off a little bit of room for a sequel if it actually did well enough. But like I said, going back to my original conversation, reboot fatigue. He-Man. Again, reboot fatigue. And that's one where they try to take an old property again, try to reboot it, make it popular again. But it only works, like I said, if you include new technology and a fresh story that actually takes it in a different direction that makes it, for those who actually saw the original, for them to come back and say, oh, I never knew it could go in this direction.
Or, oh, I didn't know this movie didn't suck that bad.
Right.
Because the original movie sucked.
Right. But the thing is...
bad.
And it shouldn't have, because you had great characters and the actors were okay. You could have done a bit better with the actors.
Well, in the 80s, they just went with names.
Right. They went with big names. But still, if you have a great story...
There's this thing, oh no, wait. Remember when they did Mario Brothers and they had John Leguizamo as Luigi, and they had the one guy who was from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and I can't think of his name as Mario. And you talk about like two complete, because they're supposed to be brothers, but like you had a white dude and a Hispanic dude, like why
playing Italian plumbers.
Oh man, because like the guy that they got for Mario is British, and like, or he was British because he passed away. But I mean, so like, if you're going to do a reboot of a movie, like, so when they tried to do this with the new Men in Black, which I still have not watched, and I refuse to watch it. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not. There's no point in it because. It's like you're not doing the story any justice.
Right.
You haven't done anything to further Men in Black other than you capitalize on Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth, notoriety from Thor Ragnarok and what Thor did in Endgame, Avengers Endgame,
and Tessa from Westworld.
Yep.
So, and long story short. Them and themselves, as far as the characters, as far as the actors, I think they would have been fine had they just delayed it and let there be a longer separation period between the two.
I'm pretty sure that there was problems with the script, and they probably did everything they could to make the movie work. But if you're given garbage, you're going to make garbage.
Yeah. If you ask for an outfit and they give you garbage, you're going to smell like garbage. You're not going to smell like fresh new clothes. So.
You can put what Gene said on Bob's Burgers. I call it trashing.
All right.
Watch Bob's Burgers in my house like all the time.
Yes, he does. So
no, Christy does. That is her favorite show. If I'm going to watch something and just have it on, I watch Law and Order SVU.
Sadly, I can watch that all day long.
But sadly enough, I've watched enough Law and Order where Christy can easily say, "Have you seen this?" And I just look at her like, "Come on." And then my key phrase all the time is, "Oh, this one's messed up." Oh no, let's watch this one. It's messed up. Every Law and Order episode, SVU, is messed up.
Yeah, it's a special victims unit. Yeah, that only bad stuff happens there. So, yeah. So outside of that, as far as reboot fatigue, like I said, I'm a little bit tired of it. I know other people are tired of it too. So we try to just let you know that, hey, we're aware of the reboot fatigue. So if you hear same movies coming up every now and then, just bear with us. So to carry on our conversation here, we're actually going to move on a little bit. There's something else I actually wanted to mention too that I actually thought was kind of funny. Samuel L. Jackson, and this is one of our favorite actors, has decided to, along with Morgan Freeman, lend his voice to Alexa. So now, if you want to hear Samuel L. Jackson cuss you out,
I do.
You are now allowed to have that on Alexa. I don't know when this is actually coming through. This is actually through a link called bigthink.com as far as the technology section. And yeah, Samuel L. Jackson's voice is coming to Alexa. Users can now choose to have him curse them out. That is literally the title of the article. I will include that in the links in the description. Let's see. Of course, I believe the whole price for it, is like $4.99. Worth it. And you can have access to it through Amazon's Echo users. So if you have an Amazon Echo, you'll actually be able to have this subscription. And of course, Amazon also recently introduced several new Echo compatible products, including Smart Ring. smart glasses, and new earbuds. So imagine Samuel L. Jackson in your ear, and the Echo products, and also for your smart ring on your door. So someone rings the door, ding dong, like, who is it? You're going to hear that. So I thought that was funny. I thought it was hilarious. I just want to throw that in there just as a bonus because it's Samuel L. Jackson. He's endless entertainment for eons. So
definitely,
you will never be bored with that.
Can you imagine if you had that at work? I think at my job, like, no one would complain, but like,
yeah, because I hear I work, and of course, in one of the areas I work at is actually a call center. So we have other people that come there with their ringers on. So we're talking on the phone and we're talking with customers, and of course, there's a ringer ringing from somebody's cell phone. Imagine if it's Samuel L. Jackson's voice. You didn't pick up the phone. You just gonna let me ring?
Ezekiel 25:17. The path of the righteous must be set upon all sides, but the iniquities and tyranny of selfishness of evil men. I just like it.
No, I just want to. That is a tasty burger.
What country you from? Well, ain't no country I ever heard of. They speak English in what? English? Do you speak it? God.
Royale with cheese. Oh gosh. So yeah. So
Sharp Marvin.
You Sharp Marvin. Oh my gosh.
Oh, no.
So
endlessly could quote that.
Like
movie.
I said, endless entertainment from this man. He has a whole bunch of quotes from a bunch of different movies. Take your pick. So I'm going to be excited for that one. I know you actually will be too. So I'm not even going to say anything more about that. The Morgan Freeman one is actually a fun one too. So if you would like to have his voice gently talk to you while you're driving down the street, this is what it will sound like. Please turn left. You have missed your turn.
Have you ever listened to the Z Frank talk about Morgan Freeman?
No.
Dude, I gotta send that to you on YouTube. So Z Frank, he's like, he tries to sound kind of like Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
And like one of his videos, he talks about like when Morgan Freeman, like it's about Morgan Freeman, and some of it's probably very true, and all of it, the rest of it is just like no.
And,
like, it's so funny that like I gotta send it to you, and like because he's like at the end of it, he's like Morgan Freeman. It's just like it's hilarious.
Oh goodness! So the next thing I wanted to mention too is as I'm scrolling through the internet, I'm also finding that there's not a lot of things for me to watch. Not a lot of things that are of interest to me. One of the things that used to take up a lot of space from mine.
Did you finish The Boys?
Yes, I did. That's the reason. That's the reason why I was like, I've already finished The Boys. I finished The Boys like in I think about 3 or 5 days.
Yeah,
I went through it pretty quick, but that was awesome.
Have you been watching The Righteous Gemstones?
I have not, but I'm pausing it for a moment because I'll get to that a little bit later because I will actually watch it.
That show.
Is it good?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Righteous Gemstones. Gemstones.
Yes.
No. John Goodman.
Yeah. Walton Goggins. Danny. Hold on. Who else is in that? Did you watch the Santa Clarita Diet?
No, I didn't.
I was gonna say like the kid Eric, their next door neighbor, like the main family.
Yeah,
like he's in this, and like it's a really good show. Like I enjoy it. Chrissy and I watch it. So.
All right. So Circle Brothers recommendation: The Righteous Gemstones.
Yes.
It's
on HBO. So
yeah, it is on HBO.
The full disclosure: there is nudity, a lot of language, and they make fun of religion. So. Southern Baptist people, and but it's done in a way that you're probably like, I could see that.
So in other words, typical adult stuff. So if you're not an adult, tread accordingly. So in the meantime, though, as I was trying to scour through all the streaming apps that I have and drop one, I actually dropped Showtime because I used to have it for Black Friday, which is actually another funny show you could watch. That is Don Cheadle. That was funny.
Wait, you dropped Showtime?
I did. At least for the moment, for right now. I can always pick it up a little bit later. We'll talk about that too. Right.
We share, so
right. We share.
It shows you how long it's been since I've actually watched anything on Showtime.
Right, but that's the reason why I was like, you know what? I got all these streaming services, which eventually you're going to have this conversation with yourself too. If you got a whole bunch of streaming services and you're not watching all of them, you're kind of throwing your money out the window per month. So you kind of want to judge accordingly with yourself. So I was doing the examination myself, and I'm like, you know what? I don't really even watch much of the Showtime anymore. Outside of Billions was the one that actually drew me to it.
When does Homeland come back?
I don't think it is.
No, it is. They're finishing Homeland. Yeah. That was the only thing like I was worried about, because like Homeland, the last season 8, like when does that start? Oh, okay, cool. No, it's not until February next year.
Okay.
We'll work that out.
Okay.
Which is a great show if you want to watch an excellent show. Homeland. Like,
all right, side note. What's so special about Homeland? Just for those who don't know.
Okay, so it's Mandy
Pattison?
Yes, Pattinkin. The dude from, you know what movie I'm talking about. My name is Indigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. That's him. Claire Danes is also in it, and it's the way it's written.
Right.
It's about these CIA agents, and all these things that happen. So the first season is about a person who was kidnapped in the Middle East theater, and what happens with him. And after that, it's about different terrorist cells, how America deals with that.
Right.
But it all happens on Claire Danes' character. And the best thing about her, it's not the best thing, it's also the worst thing, but she's bipolar. And so, and her character's name is Carrie. Oh. And so Carrie is like, you want Carrie to do well, but you also want to strangle the crap out of Carrie because she's annoying, but to the point where you like want to root for her,
right?
But you hate her.
Okay, is she as annoying as what's the name's wife on what was that show? Ray Donovan. His wife.
No.
She is uber annoying.
No, not annoying like that. No. So her mentor and kind of like thorn in her side and person that you never know, because like they're spies. Okay. So they play off of each other and they do things. His name is Saul Berenson. That's Mandy Patinkin's character.
Right.
And Carrie, and like the way these other characters interact with him, how they interact with the president, and like this new person who becomes president, and all these things that go on like that affects America, impacts America. Sometimes on foreign soil. There's one where they go into Germany, and there's a whole season in Germany. There's one that it's the writing is great. It's a great show. You'll get into it immediately. It's slow the first few episodes. And then it just hits you, and it's that good. Like Homeland is one of my favorite shows.
All right. So it looks like we'll actually have to add that to the recommendation, Homeland, and that's for those who actually want to have Showtime.
Yeah, Showtime.
If you have Showtime or want to get the Showtime app, you can actually look at that there too. Let's see. The next thing I wanted to, like I said, going back to my original discussion, we're taking a whole bunch of rabbit trails.
Exactly.
Right. So. As I was trying to figure out what streaming services to pick up, which ones to drop, one of the things I actually will be still holding on to, because we actually share an account for HBO, because there's a show called His Dark Materials that's going to be coming up. And I think this one is going to be another one that's going to be a major filler like Westworld. Westworld is actually one of the popular shows that's on HBO. It's a really dope, really good show. You should actually watch it. It's about robots and a whole bunch of other things that's going on there. I'm not going to spoil it. You just got to watch it. And you may have to rewatch it a few times because Westworld is that good, and you may have actually missed stuff.
Oh no, you definitely will miss things.
You will miss
because let me tell you. So when I worked at the House at Bar Association, Joel and Mike, we all three of us watched that show.
Right.
And we would talk about stuff, and like after we talk about things, we all realized there was stuff we missed, and we'd all have to go back and watch it.
Yeah.
So that's having 3 people watching the show, not at the same time,
right?
But like, and then we would come back. It was always on Monday. We'd be like, "Oh, so what'd you think of the episode?" Like this before we'd start. Well, we'd start our day with Westworld or Game of Thrones talk. So
true. So good. Glad you brought that up because it's a big show like Game of Thrones, and as far as His Dark Materials, so it's going to be a big one like Game of Thrones, and also what was the other one? Westworld. It's kind of that big as far as the universe, as far as how far they can actually go. They can probably get about a good 5 seasons out of it if they really wanted to.
Isn't it like 3 or 4 books though? Right?
It is. I believe it actually is about 3 or 4 books or so. And all it is just, I believe they have these particular people. There's warring factions that's going on in this particular world, and it's kind of set in it's like a kind of like a, I want to say steampunk kind of world, but not really. You have to really look at the world to be able to see it.
So if you remember the movie Golden Compass, this is the same series. They're just doing their take on everything. Right. Because I remember like before Game of Thrones started and they showed that trailer. Right. And I was like, wait a second. Mm-hmm. I was like, the polar bear. I was like, oh, this is His Dark Materials. Yep. I was excited because like I knew. I was like, finally, because they never ever never did a sequel. No, and Golden Compass was awesome.
That was a good show.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So if you want to know what we're talking about, there is a movie. Remember, we're talking about Reboot Fatigue. You want to actually check out Golden Compass. It's actually an older movie. I think that one came out early 2000s.
Yep.
Yeah, so early 2000s. Golden
Nicole
Compass.
Kidman was in that.
Yeah, she was. So if you see that movie and you see everything that's going on as far as the visuals, especially the acting and everything that's going on there as far as the storyline, I'm not going to spoil it. You just got to watch it. Take my word for it. You will actually be pleasantly pleased with that movie, even though it's it's in the early 2000s, and they're going to take a darker turn for this one.
Oh, so I hope they make everyone's Damons look much better, man.
Yeah. That's a person's familiar. That's what them is usually animals of some sort. So it's really it gets really crazy really quick. So even though we're talking about Reboot Fatigue from before, this is a part that we were talking about earlier where you could take something of an original IP as far as somebody's story or some other type of concept and literally breathe life into it by adding the new technology into it, adding fresh script that actually brings it into a different story arc altogether, still taking the original story from the books and still adding more elements to it.
Or you finally have a production company or whoever's publishing your work who will greenlight it. That's what happened with Neil Gaiman with Sandman stuff. Because like how many times were people different companies wanted to do Sandman and he was like, nope, you're not gonna let me do this, nope. And then finally Netflix is like,
like here,
whatever, we don't care, just do it. And he's like,
excellent.
Yes. And so now we're getting Sandman. So
Mr. Burns mode.
Yes.
So, but really, that's really all I actually have from my side of the pool. Do you got anything from your side?
Yes. So first I want to start off with some funny stuff because I think this is hilarious. So one of my favorite websites to visit is BGR. So Boy Genius Report. If you like a bunch of stuff about tech, which I do, they always have stuff about new computers, new software, video games, video game hardware, cell phones, yada, yada, yada. They also do deals and stuff like that. So if you want to find out like when certain products go on sale, when certain apps become free for like on the iPhone, like on iOS or Apple App Store and things like that, they produce that information. Pretty good with showing leaks and different things for new phones and stuff like that. Okay. So great resource for that. But one thing that I love is how Zach Epstein is one of the contributors for the website, and this dude is just his brutal take on what happened with the Galaxy Fold that was just released this week. And so it's like seriously, like what he says is great. So he's like, one of the things he said was, I told you a year before it was released. I told you a week before it was supposed to be released back in April. And I told you again months later. Now I'm going to tell you one last time. The Galaxy Fold is a piece of junk. Love this guy. Like, I mean, like when you guys see it's like, it's always going to be a piece of junk. And if you've watched, like, if you're into new tech, you probably watch like Jerry Rig Everything. Love his channel. This guy will like get new phones and new stuff and put them through rigorous testing, scratching them, see how it's going to last for you. Right. Well, he had the Galaxy Fold, and when he just barely scratched the screen, it was just like he didn't even get off like the one hardness. And it was just like, nope, this is done. The screen's scratched, like it's permanently damaged. Then he heard about like how dust particles just from being in your pocket will get inside the screen and permanently damage the screen. Wow. So he just got like some sand and gravel and just put it in there, and then like it got to the hinge and you could hear like when he would try to open it, and then like he was trying to bend it backwards and like it, it wouldn't break, but it's still, it's and I've said this before, and I'm just gonna, and Zach Epstein says this perfectly. Said he said they're the physical embodiment of a troll racing to type first in the comments under a YouTube section. Samsung cares far more about beating the competition to the market with a new product than it does actually making a good product. I agree. At least when it concerns cell phones. True. Like this is solely for their mobile division. Right. Their televisions, I think, are top notch. They're one of the best panel makers when it concerns that. Right. So when it concerns like their panels, even in cell phones and in tablets, they're top notch. But when it concerns them innovating in terms of new products, they'll make something, but it's going to be garbage. And so he says you should never ever buy a first generation mobile product from Samsung. That's always true, but it's especially true now that Galaxy Fold has finally been released in the US. Why would you spend the $2,000? That's the lowest amount. Can you? I mean, like, unless you have to be that guy that's like, sitting on like a bus or something, or at work, and you're like, oh, I got a phone call. Unfold my phone. Like, no one cares, dude. Yeah. Like, you're gonna have a crappy product. And like, if you have been subscribed to this channel, I've ranted about the Galaxy Fold since the first episode. Right. And I'm always going to be that person. Now, granted, I do like Apple products, and I can find stuff wrong with Apple products. Right. Because I use it all the time. But when it concerns quality and build, Apple is pretty much unparalleled when it concerns technology. Does it always work? I mean, like with their keyboards, especially in this MacBook Pro, I hate the keyboard in it. But what are you gonna do? I mean, it types. So
right. So one of the things I want to piggyback on that too, as you were talking about that, one of the things that I got in my mind is, remember the old car shows that we used to go to, like downtown convention center. They have like the model cars that actually come out. There are cars that actually are for the general public that you actually would see in the dealership. And then there's the other cars that are the concept cars. There's the cars that can actually still ride on the street, but nobody's going to be able to buy it because it's still literally a concept car. There's only a few hundred of them. And even then, they're more for model purposes. It's really not really road ready.
Yeah, they're showing like a design language or something like that.
And I believe that's what Samsung is trying to do, because they want to get back into the space of innovating. But in order to innovate, you got to put out something first and try to build on the mistakes of that. Now, you can't tell people that you're putting this out there as like a beta test.
Oh God, that's your $2,000 beta test.
A $2,000 beta test. Now, but then still at the same time, it's like, well, we need to make sure that this is set for a premium, because we give this out for like $100, $200 a pop. Could they do it? Sure. Whole bunch of people are going to get those products. Whole bunch of people is going to be angry that it's not performing up to their expectations because it is a beta model, and most people don't understand that when you're purchasing a beta model, it is not 100% ready. So you are the guinea pig for that, and you pay for the privilege of being the guinea pig.
Oh well, so here's something that makes me upset. That because Microsoft just had an event where they showed off some of their new lines of product.
Right.
One that I'm not a huge fan of some of their stuff, but I do like the new Surface Pro X. It looks really nice.
Really?
I that's something that I wouldn't buy it, but if I was going to buy one, I would buy that.
Okay.
And then I don't care for their Surface laptops. But I think that for who they're trying to reach,
right.
I think it's a good product.
Right.
I've never had any complaints when at work where people were having Surfaces and they're like, this doesn't work. I mean, because you can patch them just like every other computer.
Right.
But one thing they showed, but did not. No one was able to do anything with them. Mm-hmm. Is these two new phone products that they're coming out with.
Okay.
One is like a foldable phone, and the other one's like a tablet.
Was that the same thing like the Samsung one?
No, because so the Microsoft one, it's not a foldable. It's not like a screen that you open and it's like the screen.
Not a collapsible screen.
No, it's two different screens. And yes, but they act in unison.
Okay.
So it's two separate screens on hinges.
So dual screens on hinges.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And they looked interesting, but we won't see them because they tease them and they don't come out till Christmas next year, holiday 2020.
Yeah.
Yawn. Why, Microsoft? Why?
No, well, it's still going to be another beta test.
But
right.
They look interesting. And their take on these foldable devices, especially foldable mobile ones,
right.
I think the one is more or less like a tablet that has two screens on it. So it turns into a giant tablet, or you can fold it up where it's like a touchscreen laptop. Like where the keyboard's a touch screen, and then you can hold the other one up at a 90-degree angle, and it works that way. Would it work in theory? Yes, but is in practicality, I don't know. I'd have to see it for myself to see. I'm not sure. Right. But
so,
last thing I want to talk about kind of goes in with what you want to talk about with Madam Web and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So Tyrese Gibson was on. The show that Charlemagne the God does, like on his
Breakfast Club?
Yes, on Breakfast Club.
Okay.
And I guess on that show, he was telling Tyrese is telling Charlemagne about, because Tyrese is in Morbius. And yes, he plays an FBI agent.
Okay.
And so apparently he spilled the beans that since whatever Tom Holland, and we'll get into that, whatever was done, now Morbius is going to be in the MCU. And all of these other Spider-Man movies are supposedly in the MCU. Which, we talked about this. Right. I said that if you're going to make a Morbius movie you can introduce this character, and then this can be the reintroduction of Blade. Makes perfect sense. So, kind of goes antithetical to what what Kevin Feige said about Spider-Man is the only character that can cross cinematic universes. Right. But maybe that's not what he was talking about. Maybe there's another cinematic universe he's crossing over, and maybe Kevin Feige was talking about the bigger live action Spider-Verse thing. Okay. The one with Andrew Garfield and with
Tom Holland?
Well, Tom Holland and Garfield and
what's the other one? Just dropped off my mind just that quick too.
Yeah, the first Spider-Man.
Tobey?
Yeah, Tobey Maguire. Yeah. So I don't know, but speaking of Tom Holland, he actually was the one who kind of got things rolling. Okay. He called Bob Iger, I believe, and was like, "You got to save Spider-Man," and apparently he cried on the phone. So, but it's probably a passionate cry. Right. So, You
messing up my money, man. So that's
right on the nose. But that's all that I have. I think one thing that I want to say is, like, we want to do some more live streams. One thing I really want to do is live stream. Since you never got to play The Last of Us, is to have you play that.
Okay.
And we're all going to sit around and talk about that as you're playing it. And so that way you can get an idea of why Elijah would, like, rather do nothing than play this game. Well,
interesting. But yeah, I thought I've actually saw the trailers before, but I never had the opportunity to play it. So yeah, I'll definitely go ahead and get that done.
You need to.
At least for the sake of the podcast, let you guys actually experience it too.
You're such a sacrificial person.
Oh, yes. Take me as I am. So, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and call this podcast to a close. And again, we just want to thank you guys for your likes, your comments, your subscribes to our YouTube channel at Circle Brothers. Of course, look for the Circle Brothers logo. You can actually find us there. You can also find us on SoundCloud and also on Spotify.
And Apple Podcasts.
And also you can find us on, I believe it is Anchor, is the main platform that we're using to help distribute all of our podcast material. So you can actually go ahead and like, subscribe, whichever you're more comfortable as far as platforms. We're actually going to be there. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment. I keep saying that because I really do want you to like and comment and subscribe.
And we want to give this movie away, so actually leave a comment.
Yes, we actually left, we're actually on Facebook too. If you actually join our group on Facebook, you'll be able to get our little videos that we post from time to time. That is actually one of them that we actually have a giveaway for, what is that, Spider-Man Far From Home? Yep, Spider-Man Far From Home. It's actually a steel copy. And as you can see, this is a wonderful steel copy, which is brought to you for the price of $3.99 if you actually go ahead and subscribe, like, and comment on the Circle Brothers podcast channel. And that is on YouTube. So anyway, that's our little bit of a commercial for that. But again, outside of that, we really do thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscribes. Again, for the Circle Brothers podcast, this is RJ.
And this is Eric.
And we thank you guys again. Hope you have a good weekend. We'll get back to you a little bit later. Peace.